Hey guys, it's Matt and Steve from LRM Leasing. You know, we get tons of questions on our YouTube channel and Facebook, and we wanted to take the chance right now to answer some of those questions, and we're gonna continue making more videos answering those questions. So let's jump right into it. Steve, I think this is a good one. Why would my Cascadia with a DD13 or DD15 engine overheat and shut down while doing a regen while still sitting still? I know we don't have a ton of information, but where can you point them to on something like that if they're experiencing?
So right off the top of my head, when it comes to overheating on the truck, is that the fan may not be kicking in to cool, having that rush air come across the radiator. And then the other thing is I can think of is that you probably have where the thermostat is not opening up, and that can cause a lot of things to overheat. When it does a regen, I think that's probably two separate situations, but once you fix the overheating issue, it should do a regen. Without physically seeing the truck and see what's going on, that would be my best guess.
All right. Viewer here asked, what do you do when you get a transmission fault issue, a fault code, and are all of them serious?
So some of the codes can be serious when you've determined what the problem is with the transmission. Some of them will just put a F, an N, and shoot you into neutral in the fault. And the best thing is when you try to get information to a technician or a shop is how to get that code. Freightliners are a little bit easier because you can pull it right off the dash, which I have a video that you can look for on LRM Leasing.
Super useful.
And then the other ones, like for the Kenworths that we have, the International, especially if they're an Eaton, you have to learn the key switch, which I believe we also have a video on, and I'll show you how to pull the codes and you can determine what kind of issue that you're having. Sometimes it could be a clutch issue, an air issue, sometimes a lost communication. A lot of these things are going to be hard to determine what it is without a code. For the concern of causing a big issue, the great thing about automatics, it's meant to protect itself. You wouldn't damage the automatic at all. The only way you'll damage it is if you don't check the oil regularly, or if you have an oil leak and you leave it unrepaired and it leaks out and it'll burn up the transmission. It's the only way you're going to damage an automatic.
Get the code, run the diagnostic, don't assume. Could be serious, but we just need to do further troubleshooting.
Correct.
So further along the transmission question, this viewer asks, I'm having a transmission issue. I was told that it could be my alternator. That makes no sense. Is that true? So they're saying that an alternator can cause a transmission issue. Is there any connection there?
I would have to think that he's probably running on an automatic transmission. If you don't have proper voltage, and the TCM, which is a computer that is bolted to the transmission, could cause a communication issue. For sure, it could definitely cause a transmission issue because of the alternator not putting out enough amperage and voltage.
So with what you're saying is that you might not necessarily have a transmission issue. You need to address the alternator, check the the output first, and
to be honest, I'd start
by changing the alternator, it could clear up your transmission issue.
To be honest, I'll be checking everything. Sometimes it could be a battery because of the problem. So check your batteries, check your connections. Determine if it's the alternator or bad connections or a bad battery. Make sure you have good clean power, everything is up and running like it's supposed to. And if that clears everything and the transmission's working, then you know that's the cause of the problem.
This viewer asks, why is my engine fan staying on all the time? I thought it's supposed to be off.
So if the fan's kicking on all the time, usually the fan clutch could be seized up, or you may have a leak going through the fan. Those kind of things are pretty common. If it's not where it stays on the time, it could be the fan switch itself. It would need more further diagnostic to find out what the cause of that problem is, or it could be a communication. I can keep going. Now, there are some parts where when you have the AC running, the fan's gonna kick on once the pressure is met. You're not gonna see it unless you have AC gauges. Once it gets to 350, it will kick on it should run for about 3 minutes, kick off, and then it's gonna repeat itself again. And we call that cycling.
So it's not always a bad thing. There's actually, depending on the situation and your vehicle setup, that it is supposed to be staying on and cycling and through that cell.
Correct, especially if you have the AC on.
It's proper diagnosis.
Right.
This viewer asks, Steve, when should I change my DEF filters?
So if you just received the truck, especially if a used one you don't know, automatically just change it. Unless they specifically showed you on a receipt or proof that they've just recently replaced it. Once they replace it, you can go about 6 months before you need to replace it again.
This viewer asks, Steve, when I hit the brakes on my truck, it pulls really hard to the side. Do I have an alignment or balance issue, or is this normal? I hear all different answers.
I'm a big firm believer, KISS, keep it simple, all right? First things first, I would definitely double check and make sure all the push rod travel on your brake chamber are about equally the same. Half the time you'll notice that it could be just a bad adjustment. And not only with that, the other question you would have to ask yourself is, why is it not staying in an adjustment? Because these slack adjusters should be automatic. At that point, you would adjust, do it a few times, and keep an eye on it. Or in this place, just go ahead and replace the slack adjuster. Those could be the easiest thing to be. Now, the next thing could be, you could have a wrong brake chamber. You would have to determine what you have. They should all match on the truck. You know, the steer should be like at 26, 30/30s on the back. You just gotta make sure they're equally the same. And not only that, some of them may also have where the travel, someone may have put a 30/30 long and they cut it and didn't properly measure it. That could be the cause of the problem. And then the last thing would be is the airline could have the wrong size diameter on the brake chambers, which not putting enough air pressure to the chamber could cause this problem as well.
So we know that could be overwhelming. Education is everything. Now, we have been working on something really cool, and we've been working with this company called 7 Day Owner Operator, and essentially what it is an online education portal that gives you the very specific trucking knowledge that you need to succeed. From what corporate structure do you need from tax and liability savings? They break it down, the pros and cons. They're gonna show you how to get your own authority step by step, which is a huge cost in itself. They're gonna break down insurance, why you need it, how to file a claim. There's negotiation with brokers, how to maximize profitable freight, all of the above. Steve, I think you do like an amazing in-depth mechanics module that you go into more detail and we actually show them how to do repairs that they can save money on themselves. Is that right?
That is correct. So the great thing is, considering you'll be starting out, we want to start from the beginning to the end. So maintenance, you're going to learn a little bit more about maintenance, how to change oil, how to prime a truck. Instead of spending a lot of money where the shop charges you an hour for something that takes 10 minutes for you to do, we're going to show you how to do that as well.
Keep your money in your pocket.
Keep the money in your
pocket.
pocket.
Why pay someone to do something you can do yourself?
Correct. I'm going to do step by step, getting in the truck, out of the truck. We're going to tell you when you get a scanner, how to properly read it, or send that information into me, and I can try to get troubleshooting steps out to you and point you in the right direction for repairs. Because half the time you could probably take care of it yourself instead of just sitting in the shop or waiting for a shop to take you in. That could be weeks now, when you can just knock it out yourself. The main goal is to save you money, and the great thing is that you're gonna learn more about your truck. More you know about your asset, more knowledge you have, you'll know that if someone's screwing you over or not.
What do they say? You get out what you put into it, right?
That is correct.
I mean, I don't think that's ever rang more true than trucking. So guys, yep, we're working on that with 7 Day Owner Operator. There's gonna be more to come, but anyone who's serious about taking that next step, who just needs more information, again, from A to Z, check it out.